Today we will have an amazing lesson about table etiquette. You can grab paper and pen because in this class you will learn a lot and understand more about this subject. Hi, how are you? Welcome to this class about table etiquette. I prepared this content with a lot of care for you. You who follow me here, I would love to have you with me until the end of this class. I brought a table here, a setup so we can understand a little more about table etiquette and a brief presentation of the items. So you really don't embarrass yourself. I'm even going to share some tricks and important information so you'll never slip up when you're at the table. The moment at the table is when we can really definitely notice who has knowledge of etiquette, good manners, and good practices of other people. Because it's really at this moment that you can show other people that you're used to this process. So I'm going to tell you more about this topic and you'll see how easy it is to apply table etiquette. It's nothing too complicated. And I'm sure the content of this lesson will help you and will be practical for you to follow at your next meal. I don't know if you're watching this video and you haven't had lunch or dinner yet, so this lesson will really help you improve for your own meal. Whether it's at your house, at a restaurant, or at someone else's place, and that's an important point. Some people think that table manners are something we should only use occasionally. When you go to a party, when you're with other people, when you're at a restaurant or at someone else's house. But actually, it's quite the opposite. Table manners are a process that's like brushing your teeth. It becomes a habit. If you know how to do it right and know how to handle the items correctly, it becomes something internal within you. The good thing about all this is that if you learn the right way once, you practice and you won't make mistakes anymore. However, the downside is that if you learn the wrong way, you end up developing some bad habits, and that can be extremely negative for the image you want to build. When we talk about the process at the table, we're also talking about projecting your personal image. Because at that moment, you're not only going to show other people that you know table etiquette, but you'll also be able to project your best version of yourself. After all, if you know what you're doing, if you know how to hold the knife, the cutlery, where to place the napkin ring, how to hold a glass, it's natural for you to behave more appropriately. Because whenever you're in an environment where you feel secure, it's normal for you to do better. That you can be more of who you are, show better behavior, and be your best version. And this isn't something specific to you who's watching the video. Not every environment makes everyone feel safer and more comfortable. It's natural that you do better in those situations. That's why. What I'm going to share with you in this lesson will really help you gain that confidence and truly project your best image in any situation, and especially at the table. So, to help you in this learning process, I'm going to divide this lesson into 3 main parts. First, we're going to learn a bit about the table and the arrangement of the items. Then, I'll share with you some common mistakes people make. From now on, avoid making these mistakes. And then I'll give you some tips about table manners, also about how to handle the cutlery, and some important information that can help you. I also want you to watch this video until the end, okay? No speeding up the video, no skipping to the end to get the other tips. This video should be watched in order because it's really a lesson for you. What I'm bringing here for you is what I teach my students in my course. A complete lesson on etiquette and good manners, so you can actually apply etiquette, in this case table etiquette, in your daily life. Let's learn more about how the items are arranged. Here I have a table with some items that were presented. It's important for us to understand that when we're presented with a table, we can already get an idea of what's going to be presented and what will be included and make up that menu, okay? So it's important that when you're presented with the table, you can analyze and interpret the menu that's going to be served, okay? Here it is, we have it. A, the environment of the glasses, the fork, the knife, dessert cutlery, the tablecloth, the charger plate, the appetizer plate, right? The plates, the dessert plate as well, and here the napkin with the napkin ring. I want you to understand what each of these items represents. First, here with the glasses, here I have a water glass, this glass. Usually it stays on the table throughout the entire meal. It can also be used for juice or soda, so it always stays here aligned with the main knife. Then we have the drink glasses. There can be one glass, two glasses, or even more than two, three. Anyway, here I brought two glasses, one for white wine and another for red wine. And with that, I can already get an idea of the order of the drinks. First the white wine, then the red wine and water to accompany the whole moment. Here I have the knives, which are always on the right side. So the knives and the spoon will always be on the right side. Here on the left side, I have the fork at the top, and here I have the dessert cutlery. So these utensils will only be used for dessert time. There might be a dessert knife, especially if a fruit is offered as a dessert option. The fork and spoon are fine, so here we might also have just the fork and the spoon as well. It's a very normal situation, like I said. You'll be presented with what's appropriate for the menu that's been set, so the items can vary. After all, it makes no sense to be given something you'll never use just for decoration. Even the decorative items need to serve a logical function at the table. Here I have a napkin which can be made of fabric or paper, and in the case of fabric napkins, it may or may not have a napkin ring. I placed a napkin ring here because it's very common to use one in Brazil. People enjoy using napkin rings at parties, receptions, and at home, and today they also have historical significance. But today it's used only for decorative purposes. Even if you don't want to use the napkin ring, you don't have to add it to the table, but I brought it here for you. The same goes for the charger plate, which is also a decorative item, but it's often used when you want to bring a certain elegance and sophistication to the table. So I placed a charger plate that goes with the dinner plate, and here I have a dessert plate, a smaller plate. Even though this is a dessert plate, it's going to be used for the dessert course. Because if it were used just for one course, it would be here on top of the main course plate, right? It should be in the kitchen, and as soon as I finish my main course, this plate, you don't forget at first, and then we'll have another one. Here we have a tablecloth, but it could also be an American style placemat. That's up to the person who is setting the table. I ended up using the tablecloth because it's a more formal, more sophisticated item, and it's also very trendy these days, okay? Including this whole decoration, it's a cleaner, lighter decor, even with basic items, but they work well. For us to understand in this video lesson, since the focus here is for you to learn about these items and know how to interpret each of these things that are on the table. So now that you already understand the arrangement of the items, let's talk about some habits and common mistakes that people make. It's interesting to mention that these common mistakes I'm going to present in this part of our lesson are mistakes I see every day. Sometimes when I'm at a restaurant, sometimes when I'm with other people, I can observe these things and I've gathered them for you. So, you who have the opportunity to watch this lesson will certainly not make these mistakes anymore. In fact, I brought the most common ones. But in my Etiquette and Good Manners course, I have a very complete module about table etiquette, a module that covers several important points. And I talk about more common mistakes, but here I brought the main ones because I don't want you who are watching this lesson to make them. All right, let's start by talking about when you should begin the meal process. When we're in small groups, the ideal is to wait for everyone to be served or to serve themselves before starting the meal. It's not ideal, for example, if you're at a restaurant and 3 out of 4 people in your group have received their food. They start eating and that person is left there, sorry for the expression, twiddling their thumbs. What do? Watching and admiring the others eating, but their own food hasn't arrived. So ideally, you should wait until everyone has their plate is served before starting your meal. The same thing happens when you have a buffet, and each person will serve themselves at the buffet. When it comes to a smaller group, it's totally possible for you to wait until everyone is served before starting the meal. This is very polite, it's very elegant, it's part of table etiquette, but it's also a gesture of great respect for other people. After all, mealtime is a moment to share, it's a time for you to connect with other people. So it doesn't make any sense for you to start eating alone, and that's something that happens a lot. I don't know if you do this or if you've ever been in a situation where someone starts eating and no one else is eating yet. She kind of has an attitude often even interpreted as selfish. A question might come up. Juliana, what if I'm at a table with a lot of people and half of the table has been served but the other half hasn't? When it comes to larger groups, you should wait until the vast majority have been served or have served themselves before you start eating, okay? In this case, as I mentioned earlier, we have 4 people, 3 have been served and 1 has not. This person's dish had a mistake, it didn't come. So what should happen in this situation, the person who didn't get their dish? She should let the other people at the table know that they can go ahead and start eating and that she'll eat as soon as her dish arrives. Because, right? Sometimes if you're at a restaurant and the restaurant made a mistake with someone's dish, it can be an unpleasant situation. But in that case, you wait for the person who didn't get their dish to let you know, and then the other 3 of you can start eating. Now, if it's just that the waiter is serving and he brought the first 3 dishes, but he's already bringing the 4th dish, then it doesn't hurt to wait, right? It's a very polite, very elegant gesture that we can apply every day when we share a table with other people. Now, speaking of serving, one thing I like to mention is that when you have the option to choose how much food goes on your plate, it's not a good idea to put too much food, okay? Limit the amount of food. Why? First, because if your plate is too full, it will make your meal process much more difficult, the process and the flow of your meal. So you won't have much space to handle the dishes, and that's not going to be good, okay? So there's no need for you to serve too much food, right? Most plates usually have a marking, don't they? There's a deeper part and this rim here, and ideally you should center the food in this part. Nowadays, there are also more modern plates that don't have this rim. In that case, you still center the food in the middle of the plate. Now, even though it's not elegant to serve too much food, it's not impolite to serve more than once. People think that having seconds is wrong, but it's actually quite the opposite. In fact, I often even recommend that you eat more than once, like the first time you serve yourself. You can put a tasting amount on your plate, try what was served, and if you like and enjoy those foods, you can have seconds. So that's really good. For example, when you don't know if you're going to like that dish, you know when you're about to eat something and you're unsure like, oh, am I going to enjoy this? So you put a small tasting amount. Oh, I liked it, I tried it, I enjoyed the food. You can go back for seconds. It's not a mistake. It's much worse to pile your plate high, make a mountain of food, than to eat twice. Arms are also another point we need to pay attention to. Many people have a habit of making very abrupt movements when eating, whether it's when cutting something and opening their arms too much, or even when they're eating. They keep eating and really maintain this posture with their elbows sticking out too much. So your armpit needs to stay close to your body, so you should keep your armpit closed. Don't open your armpit too much, okay? This applies to both men and women, even regarding opening your arms too much. It's something I actually see more often with men, but there are also women who end up making this mistake. So there's no need to open up. And when you share a table side by side with someone, it becomes totally unpleasant for the person next to you. If everyone beside her opens their arms, she'll be forced to eat squeezed in with no space. Exactly. This thing about opening up too much also won't give you good posture. And table posture is essential. It needs to be precise even for you to handle the movements of cutting and bringing food to your mouth in the right way. And here we get into another topic. What is the correct way for you to stay at the table, right? How should you sit at the table? Always remember that at the table, you can't lean your back against the backrest of the chair. Because look here, when I lean back, I end up too far from the plate and the edge of the table. When we're eating, we need to keep a distance of at least about 5 centimeters between our back and the backrest of the chair. With that, we can achieve a better, more elegant posture that will also give me more stability. Table etiquette is not just about elegance or specific things like, oh, I'm elegant, I know how to eat properly. It's also not about being able to do what is expected of you in the best way. And I think that people who understand this about etiquette are way ahead, right? If you're watching this class here, you probably want to take this for yourself because etiquette isn't about rules or impositions. It's about how you can handle any situation better. So we have etiquette in every situation, right? Here we're working on table etiquette. But if you truly understand this and take it with you, you'll realize how important etiquette is as a tool and how valuable it can be in your daily life. So when you present yourself better at the table, by moving your back away from the backrest of the chair, you become more present, more active, and you're able to participate better and guide the process more effectively. And you maintain a good image for other people, right? You convey that image, that confidence, that good posture. What we want here, especially in this lesson, is for you to be able to have good posture, a good image, and to be a confident person in any situation. That's what I want for you. When you're going to cut food, here's an important piece of information. Don't make too many small food pieces, okay? When you break food into a bunch of little pieces, like when you're going to feed a child or someone with special needs, or even an elderly person, you leave everything cut up there to make it easier for that person in the process. At the table, we also talk a lot about enjoying the moment. So enjoying, making the most of it with other people, savoring that moment with others. So presenting factors that can make you an anxious person also won't be positive after all, an anxious person. She is usually someone who doesn't feel very secure in that situation, someone who is in a hurry. Often she doesn't want to enjoy the company of others. So even in a very subtle way, you end up giving this kind of information to other people. That's why the ideal is to eat calmly and cut one piece at a time. Of course, if it's a protein like a steak, it's a bit more difficult. You can cut it twice, leave 3 pieces there for yourself, but don't cut everything or cut a very large amount of your meat. Especially in the case of meats or vegetables that need to be cut with the help of a knife. So be patient, eat a little piece at a time, enjoy it, and keep talking. This shows calmness, it shows discretion, it shows confidence, it shows tranquility, which is everything that an elegant person truly carries. And this is also very much related to talking with your mouth full, which we often learn not to do when we're kids. But adulthood ends up bringing us other habits, and we end up losing that knowledge. So ideally, you really should eat slowly, swallow your food, and avoid talking with your mouth full. And when you're going to talk to someone, it's best to use a napkin first and then start talking to other people. And an important thing, never drink and eat at the same time. Okay, if you want to drink something during the meal, that's not a mistake, okay? You can drink something if you want to taste your wine. You should do the following. You should eat and then drink, okay? Take these pauses. They will help you a lot. Use your napkin. It will be an important resource for you. Still talking about conversation. Never talk while holding your fork and knife. There are many people who, sometimes because of anxiety or sometimes because they need something to hold, like people who like to talk while holding a pen, for example. Remember, utensils should always stay on the plate, okay? They should not go back on the table after being picked up. So, you shouldn't leave the utensils on the table either. You should leave them on the plate. When talking to other people, don't use them as a tool for your communication either. So stop doing that if you have this habit. I want you who are watching this lesson that I prepared to start observing yourself as well. Pay attention to yourself. See what I mentioned here that you can adjust. That's why I said it's important to have paper and a pen, because the paper and pen will help you with what? To memorize. Wow, what Juliana said is included, what Juliana didn't say is included too. So it's interesting for us to notice that. Also, be careful with the objects on the table. Never leave your purse, cell phone, keys, wallet, medicine, or makeup on the table. The things that should be on the table are really just the things that will be used during the meal. So it's essential that we focus and let the items on the table shine, even forgetting about our cell phones or other accessories for a while. Using your cell phone at the table isn't a good idea and should be done cautiously. I even talk a lot to my students whenever I can about using cell phones because it's something that really gets in the way of face-to-face communication. When we're with other people, we end up showing them, even in an indirect way, that the cell phone is more important, that life on the cell phone is more important. Of course, if something unexpected happens, something that needs to be taken care of, that's fine, you'll take care of it. But there are people who have the habit of just staying there, scrolling through their feed, watching videos all the time on WhatsApp, and they forget to experience the moment at the table, which is something essential and important when we gather with other people. And of course, I couldn't finish these tips without mentioning an essential point, which is to never put your elbows on the table. Like this, never, okay? So, wow, don't do that because it's totally wrong. There's no need for it. It's also about posture. It won't help you handle this moment well. Now, I'm going to talk a little more about how to conduct the mealtime process, how you can handle this part in the best way. I would really like to be able to bring all of this in a single class, but that's impossible because there are several aspects we need to practice. I'm going to give you an overview here, but in my etiquette and good manners training, which by the way, I have some important information for you. If you want to be my student and are watching this class, stay until the end for an important message about my course. There you'll find more details about how to handle all of this, even real food, so you can understand it better. But I don't want you to be embarrassed, like I said at the beginning of the class. So I'm going to share some information here that you can apply. But in the course, of course, everything is much more detailed. Everything is much more broken down for you, okay? Let's go. First point, which cutlery and glasses should you use first? At the start of class, I mentioned the order for using the glasses. The first is the water glass, so it will be used throughout the whole process. And then we have the drink glasses, which should be used from the outside in that order. So the first, the second, okay? The same thing happens with the cutlery. I'll move the glasses so you can see better. First, you use the ones on the outside, and then you use the ones on the inside. Okay, is that clear? If there were more cutlery, I'd use the same order. Same logic, okay? Now, on the upper part, we have the dessert cutlery. After you've used the main cutlery, these will be placed for the dessert course. Speaking about the plates, sometimes the plates might not be stacked one on top of the other like mine. It's here, right? Appetizer plates use appetizer cutlery. Main course plates use main course cutlery. There might be substitutions if there's a waiter or someone assisting at the event, and then the plates are changed. Over there, napkin, an important factor. There are cloth napkins. The person used the cloth napkin. The restaurant used the cloth napkin. It's for you to use, okay? You should always remove the napkin ring. Put it here, right? Next to the fork, and put the napkin on your lap, okay? It can be open or folded, but it should stay on your lap the whole time. The napkin doesn't go back on the table. It only goes back when you finish your meal, and there's no need to put the napkin ring back on the napkin either, okay? Often when the meal begins, people will even remove it if there's assistance, or if the hostess also wants to remove it. Or even in a restaurant, they might remove the napkin rings so the table is less cluttered. That can happen there too, okay? Dessert is never served with the charger plate. It will only be served with the dessert plate, either on the placemat or on the tablecloth. When you finish your meal, you should place your cutlery inside the plate, never outside. As I said, never like this. There are a lot of people who do this, but never like this. Always keep the fork and knife together. In each country, there ends up being a variation in the finishing position. But I always recommend leaving it this way because it looks better, it's more interesting. There, you could definitely see in this lesson that the process at the table is fundamental for building your image. After all, if you know what you're doing, you don't make blunders. You can feel more confident, project a better posture, and even enjoy that moment more, sharing ideas, points of view, and making the most of it with other people. And everything I've shown here, you can use at parties, at family events, in restaurants, and even in your daily life. Because the more you practice, the better you will get. And if you really want to learn and truly understand table etiquette, if you know that this lesson is not enough for you and that you can learn much more, especially if throughout this lesson you realize that you're making a lot of mistakes and don't know much about table etiquette, I have some good news for you right here. With this QR code, you will have access to a special discount that I prepared for you, an exclusive discount from my etiquette and good manners training. In fact, in this training, you will have access to a complete module with several lessons about etiquette at the table. You will see the foods. I will explain about difficult foods, soup, spaghetti, and some variations so you can really master it and not embarrass yourself. Here in the description, there is also a link for you to check all the information. Besides the QR code that's right here on the side, you just need to point your phone at the QR code so you can access this discount that's available through this lesson. And we also have our WhatsApp. If you have any questions or can't access this discount, you can send a message to us on our WhatsApp. We will be happy to provide this special offer for you. After all, if you've made it this far, you want to move forward, you want to improve, you want to have a different posture and image, and you've already realized that it's the details built through your behavior that make the difference. It's not just your clothes, the bag you carry, but the way you act in your daily life. Whether at the table, as in today's lesson, or even in your daily behavior, through your posture, your presence, the way you approach other people, the way you talk, the topics you introduce, the subjects you consider relevant, or even how you handle difficult situations. When people make unwanted, rude comments, and many times we don't know what to do. In the etiquette and good manners training, you will learn all of this in a detailed and easy way. In each module, I talk about a relevant topic that will build your successful image, not just about table etiquette, okay? In the course, I talk about presence and posture. How you will walk, how you will approach other people, how you will network, how you will create a powerful image and be valued by others in any situation, at parties, at work. and you will be able to open doors, create opportunities for yourself, which will truly be a game changer. This special discount will be available for you. Did you watch this class? So if you made it to the end of this video, this offer is available for you, a unique opportunity for you to take advantage of. There you go. The next few months will be different. The next few years will be different because etiquette and behavior are something important. If you learn it, you can actually apply it to your daily life, to your routine. If you want to learn easily and directly in a clear, didactic way, this course will help you. This training has already been taken by thousands of people, and I have been teaching this training for several years now. The course is online. You can watch it in the comfort of your home, on your tablet, on your cell phone, on your television, on your computer, which makes it a lot easier for you. So just click on the link below or use the QR code here for you because I'm waiting for you and there's a unique offer available. For you who made it to the end of this class, thank you so much and I'll see you in the course, okay? I'm waiting for you there.